Hey, what's up, Jacob? This is a quick demo video for you for your KR Sabers Desert Wanderer. This has the Goth Master chassis in it. You've got stock V3s in here. You actually have two sets of these. You have one here for your emitter and then another in the chassis. We're going to do this demo kind of in reverse today. I'm going to show you how all this works as it's put together. Put a blade in it, swing it around a little bit, and then I'll take the chassis out and we'll go over the chassis. There are a few modifications I had to do to the hilt just because maybe it's me, but there were just some slight fitment issues that I wasn't happy with. So I did do a little bit of modification to the pommel and then also a bit of modification to your cover tech, or your cover tech rather. Okay, 2-button setup. Your big tactile or your big greebly here is going to be your power. Your small greebly here is going to be your auxiliary. When this is all in, I actually made this. I took this cover tech out. I drilled it in a little bit, and so that I could take that screw and put it into the Saber and use that for a chassis retention. All right, but when you take this pommel off, and I guess I can talk about the pommel when I have it off, because you got to take it off to get to your kill switch, which is right here. Okay, one thing I noticed about this when I got all this done and I was testing, when I went to go put this pommel on, the chassis was super tight in the pommel. I mean, so much so that it twisted the chassis inside of the Saber. I actually broke one of the tactile switches on the switch PCB, and I had to replace it. So what I did there to avoid that again is, number one, I did, on the cover tech, I made the chassis retention so this doesn't twist on you. And then I also came in here, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see it very well on camera, but you might be able to see it in person. You can kind of see it there. I went outside and I sanded all this down. I have like a little sanding drum I put on my drill press, and I just kind of move this up and down and around, and I try to open up that diameter just a hair. You can see that on the inside. It doesn't affect the outer appearance at all, but it does help drastically when we put this pommel on. So now it slides in and out, and it doesn't, bunch up. Okay, so that's what I did there. We're going to come over here. Your kill switch is right there. We'll flip it.
Look what I have risen above.
Go ahead and put your pommel on. Screw that on. We'll turn this light off. We can come over here and we can hit power. So your LEDs in here are firing up. You actually had quite a few Obi-Wan sound fonts that came with this. Auxiliary over here. You've got twist off. We can go to another sound font.
It's just Ben these days.
We'll put a blade in. This is the emitter that takes the blade. You have a show emitter or just like a display piece. What you want to do is just unscrew it here, but this is the one that takes the blade. Okay, the show piece has the blade plug and everything like that. So you'll unscrew it like that. We'll put the Saber off to the side, and this is what that looks like. So you have all of these different, you have 3 blade retention screws. All right, and that's how you take that off. But you don't need to take it off to put a blade in if you have this one in already. So we'll go ahead and screw that down. This does take a 1-inch diameter NeoPixel blade. All right, and we'll go ahead and lock it down. I'm just going to use 1 blade retention for the sake of this demo, but depending on how much you want to swing this around, you'll want to use all 3. I don't imagine you're going to be dueling with this thing because it is a master chassis and you don't want to break it, right? But anyway, we got that blade in activation. Very solid once it's all together. Good flash on flash. Blade lockup is holding down the auxiliary and hitting the Saber. It might be washed out on camera, but the blade lockup is right here. And of course it moves up and down the blade. And to play your soundtrack is a long press on the power. And another long press to turn it off. Go another sound font.
Ben? Ben Kenobi? Who's the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him? one, Kenobi.
Just like that. And we'll go ahead and we'll take the blade out and get to the good stuff, which is the chassis. It's a beautiful chassis. And so I want to go over it with you because there are several things that this thing does that previous master chassis I had don't do. Okay. So we'll go ahead and we'll take your pummel off. I'll set it off to the side. I did put a black O-ring on here because I noticed that if I had the pummel screwed down all the way tightly, the speaker was just barely touching the back side of the pummel. So I put this black O-ring on here right there. So it helps you kind of clock the pummel so it doesn't do that. Okay. Let's go ahead and loosen this cover tech a little bit. You don't have to take it all the way out. But once you loosen it a little bit, you can go ahead and slide your chassis all the way out. And we'll put this off to the side here. And this is your master chassis. It's on your battery meter right now. So this is a full battery almost, pretty much. I think it's missing 1 bar because I've been doing some extensive testing. But we'll go ahead and we'll turn it off. You can turn it off from here. To get to your board, all you want to do is lift up this right here. It gives you access to your board. There is enough room to get to your SD card and your micro USB and all that good stuff from right here, if we can focus. There we go. All right, so everything's done in there. You have your second set of stock V3s right here. We'll go ahead and close that. That stays closed on a magnet, so that should stay in place. To get your battery out is another door that opens like that. You got your battery. You could take your battery out from there, and then when this closes, it stays closed with magnets as well. You've got your switch PCB right here. This is the switch that I had broken off originally when I found the pummel was too tight, but I went ahead, I had the same exact tactile. I went ahead and resoldered one. You can never even tell I swapped that out. I just like to tell you everything that happened with the build. Okay. You got your crystal in there. It does have a rotating motor, and then you have a door. This door right here will open like this, so you can have full access and see the crystal. If I turn this, oh well, I'm not going to turn on yet until I tell you about the rest of the Saber. Coming down here, and all these greeblies right here, you have a 10 pixel accent strip right here, and then you have another 10 pixel accent strip right here. I put a copy of my config file on your SD card. There were several that you could use already. It was the first time I had seen KR do that, but I didn't wire it on their particular config. I wired it to my own specifications, so I went ahead and I made my own config. All right. If you ever make changes, it's called the DS Master _config. That's the one that I used. Okay. Your first is 4 blade styles. Your first will be your blade. Your second will be your 2 sets of strips. Your third will be your crystal. Your fourth and final blade style is your rotating motor. So whatever sound font or any changes you want to make, you can leave that 4th blade style alone because that's what operates the motor. All right. So we'll go ahead and we'll come over here and we'll flip it on. Everything is on a timer, so if you don't turn it on right away, it'll time out and won't kill your battery. But you got your 10 pixel strips going. You've got your crystal pulsing. Right? Come over here and we'll hit power. I'll open this up for you. It's blinding. So hopefully you can see that spinning.
Master Kenobi? I am. And when you have your strength, I will help you on your way.
You got your OLED screen over here, so it will tell you what sound fonts you go to.
It's just Ben these days.
That one says Ben. Again, you can hit power, and then I did put a secondary auxiliary switch in here at the very tip. All right. Not really something that was needed because you have access to your auxiliary and your power switch from this PCB, but because there was a space for it and that was part of the build, I went ahead and did that. All right, so we'll go ahead and hit power again. So if you want to come over here and hit auxiliary, you could. You get blade lock up. Just like that. So as you can see, everything is working like it should. This was a beautiful piece to work on. We're going to come over here and I'll just turn it off. Flip the kill switch. It kills everything like it should. But that is pretty much your Desert Wanderer with your Goth Master chassis. Let me know if you got any questions. If not, I will try to package this up and get it out in the mail to you by tomorrow. Okay? Thank you.